Hello and thank you for joining me. This is Taliesin McKnight, and today's lesson is on the Kabbalistic interpretation of the name of God, the four-lettered name of God, YHVH, often pronounced as Jehovah or Yahweh in English. So this is the deeper Kabbalistic interpretation of the four-lettered name of God. And so today we're going to be going into the teachings of the Qabalah. Now, before we begin, I would like to say that I am not saying that these teachings are true or not. So, of course, I encourage you to think for yourself and question everything, accept nothing. Question everything and always think for yourself, of course. So the purpose of these videos is not to spout off dogma or tell you what's true or not. The purpose of these videos is to give a real, actual, unbiased look at these types of teachings. So whether you are learning about this as a spiritual seeker, or whether you're just curious from a historical perspective on what these teachings are. So I'm not saying these are true or not, but these are the teachings of the Qabalah, which is Jewish mysticism. Okay, so this is the esoteric Jewish teachings. And also, later on, this has been incorporated into esoteric movements within Christianity. So this is the deeper esoteric tradition behind our surface level exoteric Orthodox Judeo-Christian tradition. So, and as you'll notice, these teachings are a little bit different. They're a little different than what you learn in Orthodox theology. So just to let you know, these teachings are going to go a little different. It goes into masculine and feminine aspects of the divine. It goes into the arithmetic of theology, the theology of numbers. So this is this below the surface of our Orthodox religions. There has been a current of deeper knowledge, so that in late antiquity we had the mystery schools, the mysteries. We had Neo-Pythagoreanism, Neoplatonism. You had Hermetic movements, Gnosticism. So these traditions existed in late antiquity, in the 13th century, these ideas continued in the Middle East with the Arabs. They conquered Alexandria. They had these texts on Hermetism and all that. And when the Arabs invaded Spain, a lot of these mystical, Hermetic ideas entered into Spain and entered into Europe. Alchemy texts, for the first time, that we had not had in the West since the fall of Rome. The Arabs brought in this esoteric teachings. For the first time, we were getting infused with alchemical ideas. The alchemists, Neo-Pythagoreanism, Hermetic texts and treatises were being brought into Europe, translated from Arabic into Latin. And of course, we didn't really have any serious knowledge of Hermetic texts until the Corpus Hermeticum was translated towards the end of the 15th century in the Italian Renaissance by Marsilio Ficino. So I'm not saying that this is where the Qabalah derives. However, what I am saying is that this Western esoteric movement is basically these occult, deeper esoteric teachings that have survived, surprisingly, below the surface of Orthodox theology. These esoteric, occult, Hermetic traditions have survived. Now, as I said, Qabalah is Jewish mysticism. And these are the mystical aspects in Judaism. But the Kabbalistic teachings have, especially with the Christian thinkers and stuff, been blended in with Hermetic and other ideas. So you have the Jewish Qabalah, and then you have this more Christian, Hermetic, Rosicrucian, alchemical stuff, and these are two different Qabalahs. So anyways, I'm going off, but just to let you know, these are a little different ideas than you'll hear about in, say, Sunday school or in your exoteric theology. So, the Kabbalistic understanding of the name of God, YHVH. Now, the name of God, YHVH, is often pronounced in English as Jehovah or Yahweh. So in English, in the King James Bible, in the King James version of the good book, it pronounces it Jehovah. Okay? Many people pronounce it Yahweh. So, Jehovah or Yahweh, which is interesting since there is no J in Hebrew. How do you get Jehovah from a Hebrew word? Anyways, Jehovah or Yahweh which religiously devout Jews will never pronounce this name. Jews will never pronounce this name. So while it may be pronounced Yahweh, a religiously observant Jew would never pronounce it. In synagogue, when a Jew comes across this name in Hebrew, they will often either pause, give a pause and then continue, or they'll say Adonai, which means Lord, or they may say Hashem, which means the name, Hashem. So this name is so sacred in Judaism that it is not pronounced. Now, in English, it's often pronounced as Jehovah or Yahweh. A Jew would never pronounce it, but Christians pronounce it Jehovah or Yahweh. Now, this comes from 4 Hebrew letters. Okay? I guess in English, you would write it as YHVH or YHWH. Now, in Hebrew, this is 4 Hebrew letters. Now, this is often called Tetragrammaton, which is 2 Greek words, tetra, 4, Tetragrammaton, 4-lettered word, because there's 4 letters in it. Now in Hebrew, these letters are Yud, the letter He, Yud, He, Vav, and He, kind of a stylized way to write it. So you see 4 Hebrew letters. So you see Yud, He, Vav, He. Okay? So in Hebrew it looks like it would be pronounced Yahweh. Now the letter Vav makes a V sound, like victory. However, if you put a dot over the Vav, in Hebrew it makes a O sound. That's a holem, vowel mark, O sound. If you put a dot right here, that's a oo sound. So you can see that the letter Vav is pronounced different ways. Many biblical scholars believe that historically in ancient Hebrew, the letter Vav was a W in a sense. So in ancient Hebrew, it would be pronounced Yahweh, which again, a Jew would not do that. Technically, a Jew would not erase this board, because that's another thing that you're not supposed to do, is deface the divine name. So, this is a very important concept within the Holy Qabalah. Now, first of all, before we delve any deeper here, I would like to ask you a question. Is God male or female? So is God a man or a woman? Is God masculine or feminine? What do you think? I think many of us had the idea when we were kids that God is like this man on this throne, like a judge, right? It's a very kind of an archaic idea, which is really making a graven image in a sense, thinking of God in anthropomorphic terms. Now, from the Kabbalistic perspective, this is not the case. As Ein Sof, God is the ground of being. God is not a person flying in the air. God is not a man on a throne. In the Kabbalistic teachings, God is the ground of being. God is the one. It is the ground of existence in which we all live and have our being within. So, in the Kabbalistic understanding of God, God is that which precedes being. It is the divine ground. If you imagine, it is the ground of being. We all spring from it. All things spring from it as the source, and all things return to it ultimately. So the Kabbalistic understanding of God as Ein Sof is not like the idea that you get in Sunday school. This idea is a lot closer to the Tao in Taoism, or Brahman, the ultimate reality. To look at other traditions for an analogous concept, not saying it's the same thing at all, but God is the ground of being. It is the monad. All things spring from it. If you imagine a ground with different plants springing from it, different plants emerging from the ground of different colors and textures and different varieties. Now these plants springing from this ground of existence is universes. These plants are universes, people, planets, time, space. All things spring from it, but all have their roots in the same ground of existence. So that God is more like the place in which we all exist and have our existence and being. As you can see, I can't even really put it into words. The Kabbalistic understanding of God is so high and lofty that we can't even really put it into human speech because it's a transcendent idea. Although it is colorless, all colors spring from it. It is purely simple. So I can't really even explain it in words. We can only speak of God by analogy. So God is the one, the unknowable. All things spring from it. This is Ein Sof. Now, although God is the one, the ground of being, how could God be male? Or how could God be female? If God is white, then he can't be black. So all things spring from it, so it is infinite potential. So, if you get into this idea of God, you even get to the point to where, well, how could such a force have emotions? How could such a force have human emotions or think? It's just, and some theologians actually get into this kind of contrast. Anyways, so you have the one. Even though God is the ground of being in Qabalah, the Ein Sof, God is seen to have both masculine and feminine attributes. So where does this come from? Why would you have masculine and feminine attributes? Of course, a religiously observant Jew would look at one source for this knowledge, which is the Torah. Now, as you could see here, you could say, Taliesin McKnight, Taliesin, what version of the good book are you reading? I'm reading an international version. No, sir. No, madam. I am reading the actual Hebrew. Okay. So if you really want to understand the deeper meanings, you got to look at the original Hebrew language. So, Bereshit, or Genesis 1:27. What does it say right here, Genesis 1:27? It says, Vayvara Elohim et Hadam, B'Tsalmo, B'Tselem Elohim bara oto, Zachar unekeva bara otam. So it says right here, Vayvara Elohim, and God created et Hadam, the man, B'Tsalmo, in his image. B'Tselem Elohim bara oto, in the image of God created he him. Zachar, male, unekeva, and female, bara otam. Male and female created he them. So it says right there, God made man in his own image, male and female. If you think that may have been maybe we're reading it wrong. God made man in his own image, male and female? And yet if you look at the second chapter, it repeats again. So that's interesting. Again, I'm not saying this is true or not. I'm just saying these are the teachings, and this is where people are getting these ideas from. So I'm explaining where these and it, if you do take all this seriously, it does kind of make sense. And it says here, anyways, okay, so that's enough of that. So you can see that idea in there, and every time it refers to God as He in English, the Hebrew word is actually Hu, which could be translated as He, or it could mean it. So there are no neutral pronouns in Hebrew. There's no way to say it. So it can be interpreted as it, but in English it's always gender specific. So I'm just showing you how people get this idea that God is male and female. Which at a deeper level, this is not just masculine and feminine, it's all opposites. Okay? Which is represented by the twin pillars or the twin towers. The twin pillars, Jachin and Boaz. So you have these two pillars right here that represent all opposites. They're the two pillars on King Solomon's porch. They're used in masonry, Freemasonry. They represent all opposites, duality. Okay, two opposing pillars on the tree of life in Judaism. So, now where else would you get this idea that God is male and female? As I said, God is unknowable. It's beyond our human understanding. However, from this belief system, people look at nature to understand the divine. Okay? So nature is the book not written by human hands. It is the book, by looking at, since nature came out of the divine, since nature is an expression of the divine. So by looking at the visible, by law of analogy, you can understand the invisible, the unknowable. Now within nature, you see male and female, hot and cold. You have day, the sun, and night, the moon. You have the hot time of year and the cold time of year. So you see in nature, things are born or things bloom, and then they wither away and die. So in nature, you see duality, male and female, hot and cold, light and dark, night and day. I guess in physics, you could say you have expansion and contraction. You have expansion and contraction. You have energy that speeds up and that slows down. Expansion, contraction. You have attraction and repulsion. Attraction and repulsion, the forces of cohesion and adhesion, positive and negative charges. So you see duality throughout nature, male and female within plants, animals, within all living things, male and female unite to produce a child. So you can see how this idea that although God is the one, the monad, you have a duality. So in the Qabalah, the Hebrew letters play this out, and I'll show you why I say that. Again, you have 4 letters. I guess in English you'd write YHVH. Okay. Well, we'll just do it in Hebrew. 2 of the letters, you have Yod-He, Yud-He, Vav-He. 4 letters, Yud-He, Vav-He. Now, 2 of the letters are seen as masculine, and 2 of the letters are feminine. So, Yud is a masculine letter, and Vav is a masculine letter. So, within the Yud, you have a rudimentary phallus. It is not erect. Here you have an elongated phallus. Wow, yes, that looks like a phallic symbol, y'all. Now, while today, many people are just appalled by the idea that you'd have genital symbolism in something like the divine name. And I get that. But if you study these mystery traditions from antiquity, you'll realize that this is actually pretty common to have male and female symbolism with genital symbolism. Okay? This does not represent dirty private parts. It represents the interplay between masculine and feminine, male and female. Okay? So, here you have 2 phallic symbols. One is not erect, one is erect. So you see here masculine, 2 male symbols. And oftentimes this is described as father and son. This is male as potential and manifested. Yud and Vav. Now, the letter He, which is the other letter, it's done twice. He is seen as a female symbol. Okay, so you see 2 legs. This is a vessel. It is a womb symbol. Okay, so this is a feminine symbol. So within the divine name, now again, this does not represent just male and female. This represents duality, opposites. And I'm going to go way deeper here in a second once I get into the numerical aspects of this theology. So, Yud and He. So you have phallic and yonic, masculine and feminine. And these are often expressed as the father and the mother. The remaining letters are Vav and He. Okay, or son and daughter. So you see a masculine symbol and a feminine symbol. Okay, so putting this all together, you have Yud, He, messed that up a little bit. Vav, He. So you have masculine, feminine, or sometimes it's expressed as father, mother, son, daughter. Now, this should not be taken literally. Judaism does not accept a trinity or any kind of a division of the divine. These are analogies. They represent mysteries. This is a mystery picture, a mystery image, I guess you could say. This is the most holy image within the religion, and so this is the central image for philosophizing and finding deeper meaning within it. But anyways, you have male, female, father, mother, son, daughter. So, and this is expressed in the four worlds of the Qabalah, which are Atzilut, Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya, which represent levels of creation. So, let me put it this way. You have Keter, Chokmah, Binah, Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, and Malchut. Okay? This is the Kabbalistic tree of life. Okay, so where is the letter Yud on the Kabbalistic tree of life? Now, I made a separate video just on the four worlds in the Qabalah. And I also talk about going up the four levels, which are seen as states of creation. This is a very important concept. So if you're interested in this, if you go into the search box and you type Taliesin McKnight Four Worlds, I go really in depth into this, which I can't really do here. But Chokmah is the Yud. This is a rush of energy. Okay, this is a rush of energy. To put it into human terms, let's say you got a burst of an idea. I want to build a house. That's a rush of energy, an inspiration, a spark of an idea. I want to build a house. Hey, Binah represents the logical, rational aspect of the mind. This is Binah, or understanding. Now, Binah comes from the Hebrew root bain, which means between. It is to decide between this versus that. It is that aspect of logical reasoning, this versus that. And of course, it is the sword, it's the pillar of severity, to cut through things and to decide between them. So, if you get an initial idea, I'm going to build a house, that spark of an idea. That is the seminal spark, which goes into the womb of the mind, that starts building this, taking this initial idea and building a blueprint. This is the fetus forming within the womb, okay, of the mother. This is taking an initial idea and building it into a concept. Now this fetus, this blueprint, since it is a structure that's formed in the womb, is not just a one sephira, it is 6 sephirot. And this is the Vav. Vav has the numerical value of 6, and it is 6 sephirot from Chesed down to Yesod. And this is the world of Yetzirah, the world of formation. And this finally manifests in Malchut, which is the daughter. This is the manifestation in physical reality. So you see this concept of how the process of creation takes on the symbolism of the interrelation between male and female. So, in summary, I just explained to you how it represents, YHVH represents male, female, masculine and feminine aspects to the divine, and how this has to do with the process of creation in successive levels. Now, that is the first level of this. Now we're going towards part 2. Okay, give me just a second here. Sorry, this is a rather long lesson. So, and if you want to take a break, that's fine. Feel free to pause. I'll still be here when you get back. So if you want to pause the video, relax, chill, have an intermezzo or intermission, grab your popcorn because we're about to get into some deep occult stuff, y'all. All right, sirs and madams. We went into the male-female duality, into the kind of sexual symbolism, process of creation, okay? And I will say that the divine feminine is of central importance to the Qabalah. The divine feminine, the feminine aspect of God, the mother, and the Shekinah, which is the divine presence on earth. This is a very important concept in the Qabalah, the exile of the Shekinah, the presence of the divine. The Shekinah is the divine presence. Okay. So, even though God is unknowable and one and all this stuff, it's seen in mystical aspects of this in the Qabalah to be male-female. Now, in, I would say, part 2 of this video, if you want to take a break, that's fine, because now we're getting into a whole new level of this. And this is the gematria aspect. Now, gematria, what is gematria? In Hebrew, there are no separate symbols for numbers. Hebrew letters are numbers. So, for example, in English, we have A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. We have an alphabet for our letters, which is derived from Roman letters. And then we have a separate scheme of numbers, which are derived from Arabic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So while we have different symbols for numbers and letters, you don't have that in Hebrew. In fact, you don't have that in other languages like that. For example, Roman numerals. We're all aware that Roman numerals are actually letters. So that an X is a 10, a V is a 5. So that's actually interesting, that an X is 10 when it's 4 strokes, and V is half of that, which is 5, etc., etc. Yeah, Roman numerals are letters. An X, a V, an I, 3 I's, 2 I's. The same thing, an L is 50, etc. C is 100. I believe that's right. But anyways, same thing in Hebrew. There are no different characters for numbers and letters. So, the letter Aleph is 1. And it's the letter Aleph, which is the silent letter. Aleph has no sound. The vowel marks make sounds. A dot below makes an E sound. A dot above makes an O sound. A little T-looking symbol beneath the Aleph makes an Ah sound. But it's a silent letter. Bait could be the letter B if it has a dot. A dagesh, without the dagesh, it's the letter Vait. The letter Gimel, He, Vav, Zion, etc. Now, these letters do double duty. Aleph is 1, Beit is 2, Gimel is 3, He is 5, etc., etc. So, from this, you could say, get ready to get your mind blown, y'all. The Bible's not just written in letters, it's also written in numbers, too. Wow. Same thing with Latin and Greek. These texts are not just written in letters, they're written in numbers. Now, the cool thing about this is that it's real easy to hide deeper esoteric teachings below the letters because they're also numbers, and numbers equal other things. So, gematria is taking the numbers of a word and adding them up, okay? So, for example, Binah is 4 Hebrew letters, Beit is 2, Yud is 10, Nun is 50, He is 5. You add all these up, see, you have 67. Okay? 6 plus 7 equals 13. So Binah, or understanding, equals 13, which is also the number for Echad, which means unity. Now we'll get more into that here in a moment. So, before I get into this applied to the divine name, I need to make some things understood here. And this is that there are two processes in gematria when most Kabbalists are only familiar with one. So, by studying, most Qabalah books only talk about one aspect of gematria, which is adding a bunch of numbers together to become one number. So, for example, like I said, Binah, 2 plus 10 plus 50 plus 5 equals 67. 6 plus 7 is 13. 1 plus 3 equals 4. Or you could say the divine name. Yud, He, Vav, He. So you have Yud is 10. He is 5. Vav is 6. He is 5. So, in this process of gematria, everyone's familiar with, add them together. So you have a string of numbers, 10, 5, 6, and 5. Add them together, 10 plus 5 plus 6 plus 5 is 26. Okay? So, 26. And then 2 plus 6 equals 8. So this is a way that you could take any word or string of numbers, because the letters are numbers in Hebrew, and put it into one number. So that is what I would call numerical reduction, because it reduces a string of numbers in a Hebrew word to one number, or maybe 2 digits. For example, Binah is 13. 6 plus 7 is 13. If it's a significant number, you may keep the 2 digits. So that is the, reduction, okay? Numerical reduction. Everyone is familiar with that. Numerical addition is something you never hear about in occult books, in the Qabalah. And I'm about to give this to you right now, sirs and madams. This is a deep secret. This is something that you don't really hear about. And yet this is very important for the Qabalah. So this is where you add up the numbers. Let me put it this way. Okay, the number 4. Number 4. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 equals 10. So that's why I say the other way is bringing them down to one number, but this is adding each number up to that number inclusively. So the number 4 in this other process, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 equals 10. So you could say from this perspective, 4 equals 10. Okay. What about the number 9? I know this may seem kind of boring to some people. Not many people wanted to click on this to go into a freaking math class. But believe me, this is important to understand. If you really want to understand the occult, like I don't mean skim the surface, if you really want to dive in, then it's important to understand these ideas. And we're about to bring this back to the divine name in a minute. So the number 9. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 equals 45. So you could say by this that 9 equals 45. But 4 plus 5 equals 9. But anyways, so you could see here, this is a way to find the affinities between numbers. Okay. So as I'm about to show you, 5 is a duality. Okay. Just like 6 is a triad. So doing this, by doing this other process of gematria, you find different numbers that equal 1. 1, of course, equals 1. The number 4 equals 1. Why? Because 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 equals 10. 1 plus 0 equals 1. The number 7 equals 1. Because 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 is 28. Add that up if you want. 2 plus 8 is 10. 1 plus 0 equals 1. 10 is 1, of course, because 1 plus 0 is 1. 13 is 1, because 1 plus 3 equals 4, and 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 equals 1. So what's the point of all this? Well, you can go to the next one, you know. What's the next one? 16. 1 plus 6 equals 7, and 7. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 equals 28. 2 plus 8 equals 10 equals 1 is 1. So you see that every third number is a return to unity. Now this occult mathematics really gripped the attention of the Pythagoreans. Occult mathematics. This is not math applied to practical problems. This is math that is on a purely intellectual sphere to understand theological problems. So you notice 1, 2, 3. 1 is a unity, 2 is a duality, differences. 3 is the union of differences. This is one level. Go on the next level, 4. 4, like I said, is the unity. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 equals 10 equals 1. 5 is a duality. Now, how is this proven? How is 5 a duality? Because 5 times 6 is 30. 3 plus 0 equals 3. So 5 times any number is half it, according to this. 5 times 8 is 40. 4 plus 0 is 4. So 5 times any number is half it. It divides. 5 is half of 10. And 0.5 times anything is half of it. So numerologically, 5 is a division. It is 2 on a different level. 6. Again, here, 7 is a return to unity. 8, 4 on this side, 4 on that side. Remember the strength card. The virgin wrestling with the lion. Duality. 9 is again the triad at a different octave or level. These are different levels of vibration. 10 is the return to unity. 11, 1 plus 1 equals 2, justice. It is 12, 1 plus 2 equals 3. So every third number is a return to unity. The triad is a law. And notice the triads of the Sephirot on the Kabbalistic tree of life. So every third and this goes on into infinity, okay? And going into the next numbers, not to bore you guys, but let me just say one more thing. 10, 1 plus 0 is 1. 11, 1 plus 1 equals 2. 12, 1 plus 2 equals 3. So here you have 1, 2, 3. 13, like I said, 1 plus 3 equals 4, and 4 equals 1. 14 is 5 at a different level. 1 plus 4 equals 5. 15 is 6. 16 is 7. So this is a law that repeats itself over and over. You have a relationship between a unity, difference, or duality, and they're, rising above that. Now, bringing this to the Qabalah. So, Yud. Like I said, the letter Yud is 10. Now, the Yod is a point. This represents, like I was talking about earlier, that aspect of God that is total unity, unstructured wholeness, undifferentiated unity. In Pythagoreanism, this is the monad. This is the monad, unity. So, which 10 is 1. So the Yod is, like I said earlier, it is Ein Sof, it is limitlessness, it is the one, it is the monad. There are no differences within it. So all things spring from it. So a lot of people believe in cosmic oneness. Somehow we're all one on some deeper level. We all come from the one source. This is the idea that there is one universal law that is found throughout nature. And this is the basis of the law of analogy. This is the basis of the concept as above, so below. That there is a universal pattern found throughout creation. That we see the spiral on a seashell. A spiral, the Fibonacci, we see it in the galaxies. We see certain patterns within ourselves. We have atoms swirling around each other, and yet we have solar systems. Just to put it in that way, you see duality out there, expansion and contraction, and yet we have male and female, and we mate and produce a child. Cells divide. I'm not trying to make this scientific. That's not my intention. It's just that I'm trying to think of different ways that this applies, and that's naturally what I come up with because, let's face it, I'm born in this modern era. So, anyways, unity. This is the monad. This is the unity principle. It is the unity end of all things. All beings spring from it. We all come from the one. In the Hermetic text, we all come from the one, the monad. I guess the Chinese would say the Taoists would call it the Tao. The one. Now in Pythagoreanism, the one was represented by a point. Which, remember, I just said that the Yud is technically a point. It is one pointed concentration. And in Pythagoreanism, this is often represented by a point or a point with a circle around it. Notice this is also a symbol of the sun. Now, Pythagoras talked about how Pythagoreans, we don't have any writings of Pythagoras, that the sun is called Apollo because it is the only, in Latin, sol. It is the only, it is the one. Or as a goddess, I'm not saying this is Qabalah, but this is Pythagoreanism, similar ideas. As a female aspect, this is Hestia or Vesta, which is the hearth, because it is the center of the home. So this is the one. This is the ground of being. All things exist within it. So a circle is an endless line, if you think about it. So yeah. So the Yud has the number 10, which is the 1, the unity principle. So we have Yud. What's the next letter? He. The next letter on the Qabalah is the letter He. Now the letter He is 5. And 5 is half of 10. We're all aware of that. So the letter He is the number 5 in Gematria. 5 is half of 10. 5 is the duality. It is the duad, the 2 at a different octave. Remember I showed you earlier? Now 5 times 6 is 3, because 5 times 6 is 30. 3 plus 0 is 3. So 5 times any number divides it in half. Or 0.5 is exactly half of something. So 5 is division. And of course 5 is half of 10. On the Tree of Life, 5 is the 5th Sephirah, which is Geburah. Gevurah is Mars. It is opposition and antagonism. Astrologically, the letter He and 5 letter He is ascribed to the astrological zodiac sign of Aries. It is opposition. So 5 represents duality. So whereas Yod represented unstructured wholeness, the 1, the He is difference. This is the introduction of male and female, hot and cold, light and dark. So He is opposition. So from the 1, where there are no differences, for there to be existence as we know it, there has to be differences. If there was no white versus black, we wouldn't see anything. Everything would be the same. We need differences in order to experience reality. So, Yod is the oneness, and He is duality. Now, in Pythagoreanism, as I said, the 1 is often represented by a point with a circle around it. How do you represent the duad, or the 2, which, as I said, is often represented by twin towers or twin pillars? But in Pythagoreanism, you would introduce a new circle, where they would share a center. So 2 circles interlocked is the duad, duality. And this creates a symbol called the Vesica Pisces, or fish's bladder, Vesica Pisces. And you can see where this circles interlock, it makes a vagina symbol. It looks like a vagina. It's a female symbol. And this is the matrix of creation. Okay, this is the matrix of creation. All things spring from the Vesica Pisces. And it's also an egg symbol. So, from Yud, unity, He, 5 is half of 10, division. So, whereas Yud was a unity, He divides. Now you have male and female, hot and cold, light and dark, night and day. Okay? From the unity of male-female, Adam, now you divide. Now you have 2 beings from the unity, which you see in the Garden of Eden story, a division from unity. Okay, and all things spring from it. Now the 3rd letter of the divine name, Vav. So Yud is unity. All is one. We're all one. He is division. Male, female, hot, cold, light, dark, night, day. The sun rises, the sun sets. Okay? So you have unity, division is He. Vav, which is numbered 6. Vav means a nail or hook in Hebrew. Vav in Hebrew means nail or hook. This is what the Hebrew word vav means, nail or hook. And a nail or hook brings two things together. It unites two things. Actually, what is the letter Vav in Hebrew? It's the word and. So the letter Vav literally means and. So this, that, this and that. So it connects opposites. So whereas Yud is a unity, He divides, Vav brings opposites together. So this is the reconciliation of opposing forces. This is the union and transcending of opposites. Now here's an interesting thing. Yud plus He, Yud plus He, okay? Yud plus He equals Vav. What do I mean by that? 10 plus 5 equals 15. 1 plus 5 equals 6. So, if you do the math, the Kabbalistic math that is, 10 plus 5 equals 15, 1 plus 5 equals 6. So mathematically, the father and mother equals the son. The union of opposites creates Vav. So Vav is the triad. It is that which brings opposites together. Remember on the tree of life where I said Chokmah is a rush of energy? This is the seminal spark of an idea which the womb of Binah receives and develops into a fetus or a child. And this child or blueprint, not manifested yet, still in the womb, or still potential, is the son, Vav, which is a six-pointed blueprint, which finally manifests as the daughter, which is a unity on a new level. Like I said, the fourth, number 4, is a unity on a new level because Keter is in Malkut, and Malkut is in Keter. Malkut is the Keter of the next level. See, this keeps going ad infinitum. This is an endless process of coming into being, division, unity, and manifestation. So this is Vav. It is, and what is the hexagram? It unites above and below. Okay. If you say that we have a square, which is the material world, and a circle or compass, spiritual world, their union is generation. So, we have this sacred image. Now is the time. Now is the time, Master, Kadosh and Rosicrucians, to find the lost word. To find the lost word, Masters, Rosicrucians, and Kadosh, you must descend and rise. And with the resurrection, you'll see the sacred acacia bloom. So we have to descend into the interior of the earth to find the sacred stone. So yeah, so Yud He Vav He is a 4-lettered word. It's the Tetragrammaton. So the 4-lettered word, as I said, it has male and female combined, masculine and feminine, hot and cold, and yet it is the unity. So within a monad you have differences and the unity of the differences, and then you have manifestation. This is the secret of creation. Now, anyways, so that is today's lesson on the Tetragrammaton, 4-letter name of God, Yud He Vav He. So thank you for joining me, And I appreciate you guys. Many more lessons to go on the Qabalah. So, yeah. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day, y'all.